Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of our McGill Sports Hall of Fame ceremony. My name is Philip Quintel, and I am currently the Interim Senior Director of Athletics and Recreation here at McGill. For many of you sitting at home right now, you may recognize where I am. I'm on the mezzanine above Tomlinson Hall. Tomlinson Hall serves as the home of our Sports Hall of Fame. But in addition to being the home of our Sports Hall of Fame, Tomlinson Hall is a very, very busy place through the fall semester. It's a place where people gather waiting to attend a varsity game. It's a spot where individuals come and read about past performances of McGill athletes and builders. It's also a place where students come to rest and study before heading off to varsity practice or going down to the fitness center for a workout. Due to the pandemic, however, Tomlinson Hall right now is quite quiet. And through this quiet period, our athletics and recreation staff are working very hard to provide innovative and safe programs to our community to help them remain active, to help them stay connected. And it's really this idea of connectedness that has led us to produce a Sports Hall of Fame virtually. We are extremely proud of the accomplishments of our 6 inductees. This year, more than ever, we felt that our community would benefit from the opportunity of getting together virtually to honor some of McGill's finest. In order to get the evening rolling, at this point in time, I'd like to now call upon Bob Babinski.
Thanks, Phil. It's just great to have the opportunity to look at the very rich history of sport here at McGill. It's also an honor for me to be able to serve as your host again for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, the Silver Anniversary Edition. And who thought I'd be wearing a mask? I mean, if you ask Phil Edwards, Percival Molson, Monroe Bourne, would somebody ever be wearing a mask for this type of thing? No way they could have imagined it. But who could have imagined 2020? It is the coronavirus pandemic. We have to respect the spread of this disease, and we're doing the best we can here at McGill. That's why varsity sport came to a stop in the fall. But it's not stopping us with the Hall of Fame induction crew, because we got to go on, and that's why we're doing it digitally. Before we move on further and introduce you to this year's nominees, we thought it would be a good idea to look back at the 25-year history of the Sports Hall of Fame.
McGill has done it. The national champions for the first time in program history. Melody Daoud, gold medal shootout. Daoud weaving, thinks and scores.
Dear friends, as founding chair of the McGill Sports Hall of Fame, I'm simply delighted today to join John Cleghorn and Richard Pound in celebrating the 25th anniversary of this wonderful event and the first induction ceremony to be held online. During my undergraduate years as a varsity hockey player at Harvard, I learned the value of combining athletic and academics. So when I completed my last term as principal at McGill in 1994, I wholeheartedly endorsed the concept of establishing a McGill Sports Hall of Fame. And 2 years later, we had our first slate of inductees. My experience as a student athlete, as a member of many committees since, was to learn how to manage time and to work effectively with others. Teammates rarely lose this bond, even decades after their last game together. It's fitting that we're having this induction ceremony in November, which is Armistice Month. And it is notable that one of our inaugural inductees to the Hall was Captain Percival Molson, an international athlete in his day. Now just listen to this. Percy Molson won the Stanley Cup at age 16 and went on to become McGill's first Olympian when he competed in the 1904 Summer Games in St. Louis. After graduation, Molson also became the youngest McGill governor and chair of the committee to build a football stadium on the campus. He enlisted in World War I, was wounded in action, but returned to battle and was killed in action in 1917. A true war hero, Percival Molson Memorial Stadium was erected and named in his honor. Also, it's no coincidence that the first team inducted into the McGill Sports Hall of Fame was the 1938 Yates Cup football champions. After winning the league title that fall, many of them played hockey for McGill that winter and guided them to win the Queen's Cup championship. Only a few months later, the entire football team enlisted to serve their country in World War II. 9 of them were killed in action. To commemorate their memory, the remaining teammates established an endowed scholarship known as the 1938 Champions Award. Another inspirational inductee was the late Dr. Charles Drew, an African-American medical graduate from McGill who was an outstanding track star. After graduation, his research led to the development of blood plasma, which allowed it to be safely stored away for when needed. This directly contributed to thousands of lives saved during World War II. I believe from my own experiences in college hockey that sports can promote personal confidence to overcome challenging hurdles. Some of these challenging hurdles have to do with humility, and my notes at this point say this is true even if you score a goal on your own net. Well, the notes are a bit generous because I did that at least several times, but the one I remember most was in the first Harvard-Yale hockey game in which I played. And I should say at the west end of the arena at Harvard was a very, very large wooden tablet that covered the entire west wall. And on that name were inscribed the names of all of the Harvard hockey players who scored a goal in the Yale game. Well, in this first game for me, it fell to my lot to start at center ice, and I must have been so dazzled by this opportunity that I missed the referee dropping the puck. The Yale center iceman won the faceoff, passed it to his right winger, who came in over the blue line, by which time I had scrambled back into the play. The right winger took a fairly harmless shot from the blue line to test our goaltender. I, scrambling back, tried to deflect it. Our goaltender was moving left and went into the right corner of the net. And as I was making my way to the bench to try to find a hole to hide in, our tallest player with the loudest voice says, "Just think, Johnny, you'll get your name on the wooden scroll at the west end of the arena with an asterisk on it." And I've never been able to look at that end of the arena ever since going to see Harvard hockey games. But you know, looking to modern success, one of McGill's more recent example is Kim St. Pierre, an outstanding goaltender who played for both of the McGill men's and women's hockey teams. And I'm sure they scheduled things so that both teams were not playing on the same night, one in Toronto and one in Montreal. She helped lead Canada to 3 Olympic gold medals and 5 international world championships. And most recently, she was announced as a new inductee to the Hockey Hall of Fame. So each university graduate has a story to tell, and that's especially so in sports. Our inductees represent a fine example of the value of combining excellence in academics and athletics. So I encourage the McGill Sports Hall of Fame to continue and expand this wonderful recognition of McGill's student athletes. Best wishes to all and congratulations to this year's inductees.
Dear friends and distinguished guests, I am honored to speak as a past chair of this very special Sports Hall of Fame, which in 2020 is celebrating a quarter century of excellence. Since the 1860s, McGill student athletes have contributed significantly to the development of college sports in Canada and beyond. Therefore, I'm delighted to join the Right Honourable David Johnston, our founding chair for the McGill Sports Hall of Fame, and Richard Pound, our current chair, to help us celebrate this silver anniversary and to recognize another truly exceptional slate of inductees. I can assure everyone that our inductees will long remember this experience as an elite McGill student athlete. Now, I was fortunate to represent McGill on the playing field with a great group of teammates on the 1960 Churchill Bowl National Championship football team, and we were honored to be inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame exactly 20 years ago this fall. We always believed that being involved in the college sports we loved was a terrific feature of our McGill experience. It taught us that our athletic success required focus, discipline, and determination, combined with the ability to effectively compartmentalize our campus life with our academic studies at the same time. Recently, I learned that the average grade point average of McGill's varsity athletes was higher than the average GPA for all McGill students. Now, this interesting statistic proves that student athletes have learned to balance their college sports with effective study time. Congratulations to all of our inductees for 2020.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dick Pound. I'm the current chair of the McGill Sports Hall of Fame, and I'm pleased to welcome everyone to this 25th anniversary celebration of this fantastic event. While doing this in an online format is not ideal, it's the next best thing, and I assure everyone that we will also invite each of our 2020 inductees to return and to be recognized in person at a future Hall of Fame luncheon. As most of you know, McGill has played quite a role in the history of a number of sports, including the first intercollegiate rugby football game in 1874 and the first organized hockey team in 1877. We're also happy to take credit for James Naismith, an 1887 McGill graduate, who invented the game of basketball just 4 years after his graduation. I must say, looking back, it was indeed a thrill for me to represent McGill as a varsity athlete, and I have a fond memory of the day that I was inducted into this hall. We've had quite an impressive array of inductees into this hallowed pantheon, which now has 157 honored members, 27 of them Olympians, since it was initiated in 1996. As we look to the future, our hall is rapidly running out of space. So our next challenge will be to look at the possibility of enhancing the hall with a much improved online exhibit. It's been an enjoyable first quarter century of watching the development of this Hall of Fame, and I look forward to the next 25 years. Congratulations to all inductees, past and present.
It feels so great to be back in a gymnasium. The smell and the feel of the place is amazing. And it's the appropriate place to introduce our first inductee, Nasko Golomeev, who starred on basketball courts first at McGill at the Sir Arthur Currie Gym, but also on ones around the world. He was born in Sofia, Bulgaria, and he excelled at sports at a very young age, to the point where when he was 21 years old, he was already on the national team in Bulgaria. Turns out his father was a diplomat stationed here in Montreal, and a young Nasko decided that he was going to join the Faculty of Architecture at McGill University. He had a freshman season that really was beyond comparison. And don't forget, he stood 6'8" tall, he weighed 220 pounds, and he dominated the Quebec-Ontario Athletic Association in both scoring and rebound. He set Canadian university records that still stand today 5 decades later with an incredible 37.6 points and 18.1 rebounds per game. He was voted all-conference. He was the first McGill basketball player actually to earn all-Canadian honors. Golomeev was named to the team MVP here at McGill, also the Stuart Forbes Trophy winner, which honors the male athlete of the year. He also established the team's single-season overall record in scoring with 900 points in 24 games. Imagine that. Golomeev reached the 50-point plateau 4 times that season. His career best performance occurred on February 7th, 1969. Now, he set a school and league record with 56 points in a 105-83 home court victory over Queens. It was the fourth highest single game points total in Canadian university history. He also pulled down an impressive 27 rebounds in that game. Nasko's personal best in rebound tally occurred in a 101-89 semifinal road loss against Windsor, the eventual Canadian University champions. Now, by halftime, he had already registered a double-double with 24 points and 21 rebounds. He finished that game with 37 points and a school record 30 rebounds before fouling out. And imagine there was still 11 minutes remaining in that contest. Now, after leaving McGill, Golomeev ended up playing for the Bulgarian national team, and he appeared in 5 FIBA European Championship tournaments, winning the scoring title twice in 1973 and again 1975. He won 8 Bulgarian League championships as a player, in addition to 1 more as a coach. In 1991, Golomeev was listed among the top 50 greatest players in history by FIBA. He was immortalized by the McGill Basketball Wall of Honor right here in 2014. Last year, he was inducted into the FIBA Sports Hall of Fame, becoming the first player from a Canadian university to be honored by that international governing body. He joins us today from his home in Spain. Congratulations, Nasko Golomeev.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it's very unfortunate that in this wonderful moment of our lives must be held online because of the COVID. I would first like to thank the people who have nominated me for the induction of the Hall of Fame. It's a great honor for me, believe me, to be among such a great athletes. Basketball is a team game. Without my dedicated teammates, I would not have had these achievements in my career. We were really enthusiasts and we were real pioneers of the McGill's Redman team. There were great times, believe me. It is absolutely amazing that after 50 years, I'm here before you. To me, that means that the sports spirit of McGill University will never disappear. Keep these traditions and make sure that young people know the history of the university and the sports in the university. I congratulate all the nominated great fellows, athletes, wish them good health and luck in life. The COVID situation will definitely finish and disappear, and I hope to see you all in better times. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you really good health and keep safe. Thank you.
Our next inductee used to patrol the blue line over here, Bryan Larkin, a star defenseman with the McGill hockey team. He was born in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, among the first players recruited by McGill from the Western Hockey League, long considered one of the best junior leagues in Canada. After a National Hockey League tryout with the LA Kings, he enrolled here at McGill and he graduated in 1991 with a commerce degree. He was 6'1", 205 pounds when he played, and he patrolled the blue line with force but also great offensive skill. He capped his university career as the second highest scoring defenseman in school history, that with 109 points, and that included 33 goals. He did that in 96 games overall. He was a 2-time OUA Conference All-Star, and Larkin actually rebounded from a bad knee injury to earn All-Canadian honors in 1989-90. In his freshman campaign, he led the league's Blue Liners with 14 goals in 26 games, and he won the team's Friends of McGill Hockey Trophy as Rookie of the Year. In his final year, he merited both the Bobby Bell Trophy as the team's most valuable player and the Stuart Forbes Trophy as McGill's Male Athlete of the Year. After graduating, Larkin went on to a 9-year professional career in the UK, where he skated for the Swindon Wildcats. Joining us today from the UK, Bryan Larkin. Congratulations.
Good day, everyone, and greetings from the UK. To open, I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees on their admission to the Hall of Fame. It is truly an honor for me to be included in this distinguished group. During my time at McGill, I was inspired by many varsity athletes to be better at everything that I did. I was surrounded by so many gifted people, both academically and athletically, that it made me work harder every day as I pretended to fit in as a real student athlete like them. On the hockey team alone, there were enough doctors, lawyers, and teachers to run a small country. I look back with amusement at the sequence of events that brought me to McGill. While I was playing junior in the Western Hockey League, I was intrigued when one of the McGill coaches came to visit me in Saskatoon in the dead of winter on a recruiting trip. I thought it must have been pretty special until I saw his scouting report. 6'1", D-man, 94%. I got an inkling then that my grades were more important than my ability. Anyway, I filled in the application, and when I was accepted that summer, I was invited to Montreal to see the campus and the program. In the days before mobile phones, I found a payphone at Dorval Airport and spoke to some guy called Earl LaPearl, who said he was on his way. Fitting that Zook picked me up that day in his old Buick, as he had such a big influence on my time in Montreal since day one. It was a Friday evening, and the trip started with a visit to Crescent Street with some of the McGill players. I had such a great night that my handler had to report back to head coach Ken Tyler on Saturday morning that he had lost me and I was still MIA somewhere in the city. I knew already that this is the place where I wanted to study and finish my degree, but I never dreamed it would have such a positive impact on my life. One of my summer jobs at McGill was being a caretaker at Molson Stadium. It was magical, sitting at the top of the north side stands in the evening with the whole place to myself overlooking the city. It's been almost 3 decades since I graduated, but the memories I have of McGill, Montreal, and the people are still fresh in my mind, and they draw me back quite often for a visit. I still run up the mountain when I come back to Montreal and smile walking through the campus and the student ghetto as the memories flood back. In closing, I would like to thank the committee for my induction today, as I'm truly grateful for just attending McGill. Also to my coaches and support staff, with a special shout out to the therapists who knew me too well and kept me on the ice. My wonderful family, my mother and father made the opportunity for me. My brothers and sisters gave me great support throughout my career, my whole life. I'm indebted to them. And the last word of thanks goes out to my teammates and fellow varsity athletes who always worked hard and played even harder. Thanks very much.
Man, I should have brought my cleats. I feel like kicking a ball around. This is the perfect spot for our next inductee. Odile Desbois, who was born in Sherbrooke, Quebec, and was part of the Quebec provincial soccer team between 1989 and 1993. She enrolled here at McGill in 1992 and played 5 seasons with the Soccer Martlets. She earned her physical education degree in 1996 and then took the next season off while starting a science degree in physical and occupational therapy. Desbois returned here to the soccer pitch at the Percival Molson Memorial Stadium for the 97-98 school year before completing her BSc in 1999. And she was a speedster. She stood 5'5" tall, played midfield, but she also had occasional stints as a forward. 4-time Quebec Conference All-Star, she also achieved All-Canadian honors on 3 different occasions. She helped lead McGill to 4 consecutive Quebec Conference championships from 1992 to 1995 and a silver medal finish at the 1992 Nationals. Desbois was voted team MVP in her senior year and twice won the league's Player of the Year award in 1995 and again in 1997. In her final campaign, she was honored with the prestigious Chantal Navarre Award as the CIS National Player of the Year. Congratulations, Odile Desbois.
Hello, everyone. I would like to start by thanking the committee for this nomination to the Hall of Fame. I must say that when I received this call from Phil Quintal back in May, I was quite surprised with this news. It was a very happy news, and it brought light in these pandemic crazy times, I must say. But then I turned to my 5-year-old and 2.5-year-old, and they couldn't understand the depth of this award. So I had to call my sister to tell the good news, since my two parents, my best fan ever, have passed away 2 and 4 years ago. Unfortunately, and I really wish my dad was here to see me receive this honor, because he did play a big role in my journey to McGill. And my dad was born in France, and he decided to cross the ocean to come and live here. He landed at 21st of December, middle of a snowstorm. He was 23, and his dream was to study at McGill. So he went to Ontario, learned English, and worked on a farm to make money, and came back to McGill, entered the engineering program, and completed it. He then completed his master at Concordia by night with 3 young children at home. Then I came, number 4, and there's another one after me. But he really gave us everything. And most of all, he gave us an education and a live example that you can do anything if you really work for it and believe in it. So I followed my path, and my goal was to enter the physical therapy program at McGill. I didn't get accepted initially. And in August 92, I was supposed to start in phys ed at U of Sherbrooke, my hometown. And then 1 week prior to the beginning of term, I received a call from Tony Ayacheta, who was coaching the women McGill soccer team. And he asked me why hadn't I applied to phys ed at McGill. He said, would you be interested in coming to McGill still? And he said, because if you don't transfer and you reapply in PT, then you wouldn't have to sit out a year of soccer. So I said yes. And with 1 week, we reorganized everything, and I moved to Montreal and to McGill. And I had the most incredible time at McGill. It was my best move ever. From 92 to 99, I completed 2 degrees, so 1 in phys ed, and I did get accepted in physical therapy, so I completed that as well. And I played 5 amazing seasons with the McGill women's soccer team. We won every provincial championships, went to nationals every year. With a great bunch of wonderful ladies and teammates, without whom I wouldn't be here sitting and reading the speech to you. So I really would like to thank Tony for giving me this chance. And I'd like to thank my teammates and coaches at McGill. And I'd like to toast with my mom and dad, wherever they are. Hope they can see me receive this honor. And again, thanks to the committee for letting me receive this incredible honor. Thank you.
Imagine if you could catch a football with the grace of a ballet dancer, kick it through the uprights with the strength of a horse, and when you go out on the field, people scream, "It's Miller time." Well, that's the story of our next inductee. His name is Glenn Miller, born here in Montreal, and he was raised in Laval. He played 5 seasons here at McGill And of course, when he stepped on the field, as I said, people would scream out, "It's Miller time." He completed a bachelor's degree in 1986. He majored in education with a minor in psychology, and then he followed with a marketing certificate in 1987. Stood 6'2", 205 pounds when he played inside receiver and a place kicker. He earned the rare distinction of all-star status at both positions in 1984. That year, Miller set a single-season school record with 45 receptions, a mark which lasted for 33 years. Now, by the time his university playing career was finished, Miller had become the nation's all-time leading receiver. He racked up 2,011 yards while hauling in 154 receptions and 12 touchdowns, that in 35 career regular season games. The 2,011 yards established school, conference, and national records that stood until 1989. The 154 catches was a league record that lasted for a dozen years, and his 12 receiving TDs tied a McGill record that held up for 3 decades. Miller had the unique distinction of being the only barefooted kicker in the Ontario-Quebec Intercollegiate Football Conference, and the league subsequently implemented a rule that kickers were required to wear footwear. So what did he do to skirt around the rule? He became the first player to kick with a ballet slipper. In 1986, Miller set school and league single kicking records with 6 field goals in a 32-16 victory over Carleton at Percival Molson Stadium here. Miller made 15 field goals that year to establish another single-season record for McGill. In the 1985 Canadian Football League draft, he was a 5th-round selection, 44th overall by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He ended up returning here to McGill for a 5th season before actually playing pro in Ottawa the following summer in the Empire State Football League. It's Miller time. Congratulations, Glenn Miller.
I would like to start by saying that I am humbled and honored to have been named to the McGill University Sports Hall of Fame for my contribution to the football program from 1982 to 1986. As I was reminiscing last night, thinking about my acceptance speech today, I found my path to even getting into McGill and recruited there a very fortunate and consequential one. At 17 years old, I was a young man playing football for the Montreal Alouettes junior team, traveling the country and remembering hours of studying on the bus to keep my options open for a college football career. After that successful season, I had the opportunity of being recruited to many different universities across Canada and in the US. But fortunately and thankfully, McGill came knocking on my door. As 2 of our coaches, Ron Tondino and Pat Sheehan, took on jobs with McGill coaching staff and had the insight to recruit a solid core of players from the Junior Owls. This proved to have been one of the many important building blocks that set the McGill football program on a path towards a national championship. But of course, at the time, none of us were aware of this. I have many, many things to be grateful about being part of this McGill history. From great coaches like the legendary Charlie Bailey, our offensive coordinator, Pat Sheehan, and our defensive coach, Larry Ring, and many others who taught us the game, and especially how to outsmart our opponents. Of course, we had to. After all, we were McGill students. From the dedicated team of therapists like Lynn Brookman and Dr. Lenzner, who made sure to take care of our injuries and got us back in the field healthy and ready to live our dreams of playing college football. And of course, Earl Zuckerman, who was there to capture the memoirs and stories of McGill athletics. From all the incredible players I was blessed to have played at the University of McGill, I share this special achievement with you all. Players like Jamie Crawford, who had one of the strongest arms in CIAU. Thanks for all those on the money rifle passes, Jamie. Miles Druckman, or today, Dr. Druckman, thanks for balancing the receiver core and being a steady threat for our opposing defense that got me in the clear many times while you were being double teamed. The new generation of players that came behind us, like Brian Fuller and Mike Souls, whose unique talent came to push us veterans even harder and solidified our team. And of course, my defense of teammates as well. like team captain Cliff Wilson, who always led the team to play tough and fair, reflecting well the reputation and integrity that McGill had to uphold in the league. A special thanks to all of my Francophone teammates who made my experience in McGill feel like home. Remember, back in the days, no French university football programs existed, so our coaching staff was innovative into recruiting all over Quebec the best French Canadian players. Again, this proved to have been another important building block to a national team. Merci encore à mes anciens coéquipiers francophones comme Robin Bélanger, Vincent Gagné, Marc Labrec et tous les autres, qui m'ont poussé tous les pratiques à devenir le joueur que je suis devenu. As I grow older today, yes, 35 years later, after playing a very special 5 years college career at McGill, I can't help but smile when I think of all the amazing people, experiences, and memories I have lived both on and off the field at McGill. Ironically, my biggest takeaway in my hopefully third quarter of my life is not about the football statistics of catches or touchdowns or even field goals that I made, but the lifelong lessons of imprint and impact that McGill left on me and its community has made me both an accomplished businessman and a family man. On a lighter note, a lot of my McGill alumni remember me as the receiver kicker who was the first barefoot kicker in college football history, which at the time the league did not permit. So of course, Coach Bailey proposed that I kicked with a ballet slipper to be in line with league rules. Needless to say, I took a lot of ribbing from my teammates and especially opposing players. Again, that symbolized McGill to encourage creativity and innovation, which is what I believe turned our 2-5 team in 1986, in my last year at McGill, to a national championship team in 1987. Looking back, I have no regrets of having missed that historic championship year, since I feel today, like many others who played by my side and all the coaches and older alumni groups of players, that we all contributed to building this exceptional football program. In closing, a special thanks to my mom and dad for being my biggest support during these amazing years at McGill. Without them, this achievement would not have been possible. Again, thank you to all.
Our next inductee is an offensive dynamo, a hockey player, Vanessa Davidson. She was born and raised in Kirkland, just up the road in the West Island. She was known as Vinny, 5'8" power forward. She skated 5 seasons with the McGill team before graduating in 2010 with a degree in physical education. She was a high-scoring center. She was a 4-time Quebec Conference All-Star and 4-time All-Canadian, twice voted Team Most Valuable Player. She was also named the Martlet's most dedicated player in her final campaign when she served as captain. During her sophomore year, she set single-season school records for goals, assists, and points. Now get this, she finished with 39 goals and 68 points, that in 42 games overall. In her senior year, she became McGill's all-time leader in games played, goals, assists, and points. Her career totals: 145 goals, 158 assists, and 303 points, that in 203 games overall. 2 times a recipient of the Gladys Bean Trophy as McGill's Female Athlete of the Year. She was voted to the All-Tournament team at the 2008 Nationals and was twice named the Quebec League's Player of the Year. She won the conference scoring title 3 times in 5 years. She also led Canada to gold at the 2009 FISU Winter Games in China, where she tallied 8 points that included 4 goals over 4 games. During her 5-year stint at McGill, the Martlets won 5 consecutive Quebec League crowns. She reached the national gold medal game 4 times, and they skated away with 2 national championships. When she finished playing here, she continued to play with the Montreal Stars in the Canadian Women's League, where she registered 111 points in 91 games and won a pair of Clarkson Cup national titles. Congratulations, Vanessa Davidson.
It's an absolute honor for me to have this opportunity to stand before you today as an inductee to the 2020 McGill Athletic Hall of Fame class. I am truly humbled and feel privileged beyond belief. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this decision to induct me. I am overwhelmed with gratitude. This is an accomplishment I will cherish with great pride. Receiving a Hall of Fame honors allows me to reflect upon my years as a Martlet. In my 5 years, I was lucky enough to win 5 RSAQ championships and make it to nationals all 5 years, where we medaled every single year. We won 86 consecutive games, and we won McGill Martlets Hockey's first ever national championship. I have to admit, that was one of my fondest memories of being a Martlet. Our team was truly committed to doing whatever it took to ensure we were champions. The feeling when the buzzer sounded to declare us winners was one of the most unreal feelings I've ever experienced in my life, and made all the sacrifices and hard work worthwhile. There is no way that I could have accomplished this alone. Firstly, I would like to thank my parents. I appreciate everything they have done for me, especially when it came to my hockey career. Their encouragement and motivation is what helped me get to where I am today. Peter Smith not only was the greatest coach I ever had the pleasure of playing for, he truly had made an impact on me to become a better person. Thank you for believing in me and pushing me. I would also like to thank the rest of our coaching staff. Amy Doyle, Stuart McCarthy, and Professor Drummond, you all played major roles in me achieving this honor. Of course, I have to thank my teammates. I truly had the best teammates who easily transitioned from teammates and friends to my Martlet family. I was lucky to play 5 seasons with the Martlets, and though I played with many different players, 4 out of my 5 seasons, I played alongside Anne-Sophie Bethes. She helped me bring my game to another level. Her on-ice smarts and her everyday compete level was contagious to our entire team. You could say we had some definite success as a line mates. Another mention goes to fellow Hall of Famer Shauna Denis. She was our captain who led us to our first national championship, and she taught me what it was to be a true teammate. To close out, I'd like to congratulate the rest of the 2020 Hall of Fame inductees. It's an honor to be part of such a decorated class. To the rest of my family, Sean, James, and Shauna, and everyone else, thank you for being my biggest supporters. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you especially to McGill Athletics for this humbling nomination. It's truly something I could only dream of. Thank you.
Our final honoree today is Mike Richards, who's been inducted in the Builder category. Michael Lawrence Richards was born in Estevan, Saskatchewan. He came to McGill and he graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1960. He followed that with a law degree in 1963. When he played hockey here, he was 5'10", he weighed 178 pounds, he was a defenseman. He played from 1958 to 1963. In his first year on the team, he was voted the team's most improved player. He then won the Bobby Bell Trophy as team most valuable player in 1960-61. Years later, Richards took a leadership role on numerous boards here at McGill, many of them that supported varsity athletics. He gave 10 years of service to the university's Board of Governors and also served the institution as interim vice principal, finance, and administration. He established the Mike Richards Hockey Awards, which have created scholarships for many, many student athletes. He served decades with the Martlet Foundation as a member, secretary, chair, and trustee. In 2009, Richards was appointed chair of the McGill Athletics and Recreation Advisory Board. He co-chaired both the McConnell Arena Renewal Campaign and the Alumni Athletics Division of the university's capital campaign. Richards also chaired the Alma Mater Fund and the McGill Fund Council. He served as director and treasurer of the McGill Alumni Association and received their Award of Merit in 1999, which is presented to a graduate who has enhanced the reputation and prestige of the university through a lifetime contribution of exceptional service and leadership. That spells Mike Richards. Mike, congratulations.
everyone. I am honored and delighted to be an inductee into the McGill Sports Hall of Fame. I assure you it was a complete surprise. I have never thought of myself as a builder, but now that I am in, I like the honor, and I won't give it back. To the members of the selection committee, I thank you sincerely for this prestigious award. To my fellow inductees, I extend my sincere congratulations on this amazing recognition of your athletic accomplishments. I am definitely the outlier in this group. My university days at McGill were some of the best of my life. I spent 7 years at McGill getting my BA and then my BCL. For the first 2 years, I continued to play Quebec junior hockey, but I followed up then with 5 years of varsity hockey. While playing for McGill, I was introduced to the Martlet Foundation as I received financial assistance from its loan fund to help with my tuition. The loan was interest-free until graduation, and then repayment began with a modest rate of interest. It was the only form of financial assistance to varsity athletes back then. Following graduation, I practiced corporate law for almost 50 years at Stikeman Elliott. I mention this because the firm had a policy of encouraging its young lawyers to participate in the community. That was all I needed to know, as a few years later, I was asked by Jim Robb, my mentor and the chair of the Martlet Foundation, to join the board as a secretary. I readily accepted. That was back in 1968. I continue to this day to be a trustee and governor of the foundation. It has been the base from which I have played my other roles at McGill. The Martlet Foundation has done many things to support athletics on campus, and I'd like to mention some of them. We kept varsity teams alive in the early 1970s when the university ceased funding our varsity sports due to cutbacks and grants from the provincial government. We established bursary funds and academic awards for athletes. We introduced the Principal Student Athlete Honor Roll and established this wonderful Sports Hall of Fame. We provided incentive funding to start athlete financial awards when they became permitted. There are now 44 endowed AFAs, which benefit more than 100 student varsity athletes each year. And lastly, we continue to this day to provide annual funds to support the Department of Athletics and Recreation. While many people have helped accomplish all of this, first is Tom Thompson, who served as manager of the Martlet Foundation for more than 35 years. Throughout that time, he was my guiding light for all that I have done at McGill. Second is Bob Windsor, who was my fellow Martlet trustee from the 1970s until recently. In addition, he was my co-chair for the McConnell Arena Improvement Campaign and also for the athletics division of the university's capital campaign of a few years ago. And thirdly, there is Greg Weil, who has been the manager of the foundation for the last 14 years and who diligently keeps it moving forward to this day. At this point, you may be wondering why I got so involved. My answer is simple. It was because McGill played such an important part in the early stages of my life, not only from an academic standpoint, but just as importantly, for the opportunities it gave me in my student days and subsequently to participate and be part of the McGill community. When I think of the people I have met and worked with, the friends I have made, the experience and knowledge I have gained, I realize how McGill has helped frame me and make me the person I am today. It is easy for me to say I wanted to give back to McGill, but I have much to be thankful for when I think of what McGill has given back to me. It has been said that participation is the secret to an interesting and rewarding life. It certainly has been the case for me. Thank you, McGill, for letting me participate, and thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee for this wonderful recognition.
Congratulations, Mike, and to all the inductees in the class of 2020. Please remember, we're always looking for new names for potential new inductees into the Hall of Fame, so remember us and put those names forward. Also remember Homecoming 2021, where we hope to gather in person for the next edition of the induction ceremony of the Sports Hall of Fame. Thanks for watching. Please take care and stay healthy.